is that Real Madrid didn't close the door either. The Real Madrid didn't go like, it's crazy. I mean, Vinicius is going to stay here. If Saudi had done the same offer to Mbappe, you would have heard from Real Madrid. Not directly, never is directly, but you would have heard from the spokespeople of Real Madrid, the newspapers that actually tell what Real Madrid is thinking.
Let's focus on the transfer window in Spain. Here are the notable incoming players to La Liga this winter. Anthony, getting over there from Manchester United. What do you make of that move?
Yeah, listen, for Anthony, I think it's a good move. He's already had an impact since he's arrived there as well. I know the outgoings are not necessarily so active as well. Major League Soccer thrown in as well. Allende making that move to Inter Miami, not bad.
Absolutely. Let's chat to our Spanish correspondent, Guillem Balaguer, to get some more insight from Spain. You still awake over there, Guillem? It's been a pretty quiet transfer window in Spain. What's been going on?
Well, I was just going to go to bed about an hour ago, but you called, so I've got to stay up. There's still 15 minutes to go for something to happen. We're all waiting for one thing to happen, which is not very exciting, but it will be for Barcelona. If Nico Gonzalez gets signed from Porto to Manchester City, that's $60 million, and 40% of that goes to Barcelona. So Barcelona will be happy, but it doesn't make great news, doesn't it? No, it's been the lowest in terms so far in terms of expenditure for a decade. A total of $2.6 million. That's it, and 2.4 is to one player, Ramon Vargas, who was bought from Sevilla. But it's not a sign. Well, it is a sign of clubs that have spent most of the budget. You know, the restrictions of La Liga are the strongest in the whole of the continent. That's one. Two, there isn't enough evidence that a signing at this stage of the season will make an impact. And this goes to the way how teams play. They're so detailed, calculated, the way they play, how they build from the back, how they link to each other, all that somebody comes in and it may feel like, you know, very advanced maths, and it take a while before they can adapt. So there is that, and of course most of the money is spent in the summer, not in panic buys in January in Spain.
Guillem, do you think it is that it's not panic buying in January? And I suppose that shows a bit of education really from football, because we've seen so many teams in the past just chasing after these crazy deals that you think, why are they spending that kind of money on those kind of players in January? A bit of intelligence there in Spain, but also potentially due to, you know, the economic issues that are across Europe at the moment, clubs just not spending money in the same way that they might have done 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's all that. Some they haven't recovered from COVID time. And there is the memory of, for instance, Espanyol spending about, I think it was 40 million euros, the biggest expenditure in their lives, in their history, in January, and still went down. And then you have to deal with those players who are first division players who perhaps they have to leave, and they probably won't leave for the amount of money that you paid for. So no, Spain quite clearly has been and will continue being a selling competition. And in fact, what did we say? $2.6 million is what they've spent. $23 million is what's coming in from players that have been left out. Sorry, gone away. So you are talking about, yeah, intelligence, but precaution. Nobody wants to go at the end of the season and say to La Liga, we haven't followed the procedures. We spent far too much, because there is punishment alongside that.
All right, let's talk about crazy possibilities, because I do think there's a lot of smart moves being made in the Liga, but there's also a bit of craziness that's been rumoured, especially according to Forbes, who recently talked about Vinny Jr. and a mega offer coming from Saudi Arabia, over $1 billion being mentioned, including the price tag to even get him there. I'm going to throw something at you. It's a little bit crazy, but Guillem, is there a possibility that we do see Real Madrid in the near future without Vinny Jr.?
It's a good question, and you put it in the right way, because the offer is true. There's been also an offer for Rodrigo. He is not the only superstars of La Liga that received offers from Saudi. But in terms of Vinicius, something very interesting is happening. And you have to read between the lines, and you have to understand the politics of the media and Real Madrid to get to grips with this story. Basically, from the moment that Saudi decided that Vinicius was the player they wanted, the door was not closed by Vinicius' entourage. Because, of course, on the back of it, it could be a new lucrative contract. But what was interesting is that Real Madrid didn't close the door either. The Real Madrid didn't go like, it's crazy. I mean, Vinicius is going to stay here. If Saudi had done the same offer to Mbappe, you would have heard from Real Madrid, not directly, never is directly, but you would have heard from the spokespeople of Real Madrid, the newspapers that actually tell what Real Madrid is thinking. And it would have been, in case of Mbappe, no, forget it. In the case of Vinicius, they left it open until it became too noisy, and then they closed the door and they went like, no, Vinicius is here to stay. I do believe that they need to see Real Madrid, this is the two decision makers at the club, but mostly the chairman. They need to see Vinicius fully getting a full synergy with what's going on at the team at the moment, including Mbappe, Rodrigo, Bellingham, soon Arda Güler, and Brahim, Endrick. All those players need to play. And if at some point Real Madrid, that have been very, very careful in the last two transfer markets and have spent absolutely nothing, and they have still a debt to pay off the stadium, for instance. Somebody comes with 300 million, stadium debts would have been paid in one go. And perhaps that's the thinking of Real Madrid. There's only one player they will let go in that circumstance, which will be Vinicius. But at the moment, they're saying no chance, no chance. Just wonder if at some point, and it will only be to Saudi because nobody can pay that kind of money. If Real Madrid will go, it's up to you, Vinny, and then we enter in a different phase.
Guillem, Guillem, you know Spanish football, better than anyone. What does your inclination tell you right now? Do you think it's more likely that Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappe, they try to work it out? Eventually, they do get to a point where this club and this team is better than ever because they've got arguably the two best players in world football playing on the same team, or they don't quite manage to figure it out and Vinny Jr. leaves for Saudi? What's more likely in your head?
I'll ask you back. When was the last time you saw the two best players in the world being in the same team, not working? Not working well. It's going to work, isn't it? I mean, they're very, very good players. And this is interesting when Ancelotti talks about Vinicius, who hasn't been at his best in 2025 and who's been missing because of injury or suspension. And all of a sudden, Rodrigo plays on the left. Wow, he's brilliant. And Mbappe uses some of the left-hand side. Great. And in that area as well, Bellingham linking with them too creates a lot of danger. Vinicius is not needed. But the first one to say, are you crazy? I mean, are you telling me that the guy that helped us win the Champions League 2 years, the best player in the world in the eyes of many, or at least the second, is not good enough for us, or he's not going to fit? He will fit, especially now that Mbappe has changed his mind frame. He came very humble. He was like, what is it that I have to do? What do you want me to do? And at some point he went, okay, well, I'm going to do also what I can do, not just what I'm hearing that I need to do. And that has lifted everybody's game. And it will be the same with Vinicius once he gets a little bit of games together, which he hasn't managed this year yet. So the most likely situation is that it's going to work. And Real Madrid already have two of the best players in the world. Why would you want to get rid of one of them? Unless, as I say, the debt become very big or too big for Real Madrid, the offer continues and they feel, all right, Vinicius, you can go if you want to, because they will never push him out.
I want to know a little bit now about Barcelona, because this mess with La Liga, the registration of Dani Olmo, we've heard most recently from Javier Tebas. I'm really intrigued to see what the latest is going to be and how this is going to turn out in favour or against Barcelona and Dani Olmo. What is the latest?
How it's going to turn out? If you ask that, I cannot answer you. Don't know. Nobody knows. But quite clearly, the situation is a battle between Tebas, who wants to keep the very strict financial rules in place, and Barcelona, who want Olmo to play. And the truth is, Barcelona didn't register the player at the end of the deadline. Didn't register the player because they didn't have the fair play available, the money available. 3 days later, they did. And they said, oh, it's just that the documents had arrived, but the money hadn't arrived, but now the money's here, blah, blah, blah. So they challenged that in court. And the government, having gone to the biggest court possible, the Consejo Superior de Deportes, the Sporting High Court, which is a branch close to the government, they said, okay, we'll give you 3 months to sort this out. And at the moment, he can continue playing temporarily. And what Tebas has done this week is to say, well, I want the same, that temporarily he gets out of the side because he was not registered. And it all goes down, as I say, to how Tebas wants to maintain what they are, the tightest financial rules in Europe, but ones that have managed to turn around the debt that was crippling Spanish football. So no clear solution. But I tell you what, Olmo has got injured since then, and many put it down to stress. I know he's prone to injuries anyway, but it happened literally just after the market closed. He has been tensed up. He has been stressed. He didn't consider to move anywhere else until the summer. So right now he wants to stay in Barcelona. It's his dream. His dad used to play for Barcelona. He is an absolutely brilliant player. They paid a lot. He wants to return that to the club.